Segways.
So you're pretty much telling me good luck.
Just focus. Get the shiny object.
Oh, I have a squirrel on my phone. I can flash for you, squirrel.
I'm going.
Okay, so let's call the meeting to order. It is October 9th, 2019. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So can you just call me?
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, Chris.
Okay, so really what we're here to do today is walk through some of the requests from the departments that report to you, so you guys can kind of tell me what some of your priorities are, because there's some significant changes that were requested that I kind of need to know before we put in any kind of salary increase. So we're going to walk through that, and then kind of a quick overview of capital improvement items to kind of see what things we want to try to do or not do, so I can try to tailor that budget a little bit as well. So I'm just going to kind of jump around. I have my list, but it's kind of in a strange order, so we'll just go down the list and talk about them. So first one is in juvenile. They asked last year and again this year to increase the fees that we pay attorneys. So outside attorneys that are counsel for the kids, right now we're paying $40 an hour. They want to increase that to $50 an hour. Total cost to us would be an additional $30,250. Is that something you guys want to do, not do?
I'm trying to remember the conversation from last year.
If you click on Michael's, this details on the second note.
Oh, in the second.
So
Yeah.
we
See,
talked
the
about it.
juvenile is kind of a hybrid department, so
So you can see here in his note that he kind of goes through that we've tried to stay ahead of the game to make sure that we get qualified people to represent our families, and that kind of alleviates some of the pressure if cases go back to court or get appealed or things like that, is if we have qualified people representing them. So he's trying to stay ahead of the game. But I think you guys have to approve if that rate is going to change.
so we pay for the attorneys.
We pay them $40 an hour right now, and he wants it to go to $50 an hour. Which
And he
is,
answers to the courts too. Why are we?
We have
it's
attorneys over
it's
there.
it's our budget, so,
The state
If
gets to
you-
mandate everything on us.
I know.
Just,
And you can see we spend an average of
what did that
120.
note say? When was the last time it was raised? I was thinking we had bumped it somewhere along the line.
They did.
8 years ago, it went from 30 to
Okay,
40.
so it's been 8. So we gotta figure out if in 8 more years we wanna bump it to $10 again, or if we wanna go little by little. It's kinda like the idea of having your house assessed, you know, if it doesn't keep up, then all of a sudden your assessment goes way up at once, or you keep up with the times.
We've increased this several times over the past several years, haven't we?
No, it's been 8 years since we increased it.
He asks every year.
Yeah,
We didn't increase it to 40?
we did 8 years ago. Went from $30 to $40. We have had some increases in that line because we got behind in some payments because attorneys weren't being timely. So we've had some increases in that budget line just to catch things up and get to where we needed to be. But the last time we actually increased the dollar per hour was 8 years ago.
What else do you want to cut out of his budget? Huh?
No?
Thought you find 30,000.
I don't know that he has it to cut.
So his employees don't want any raises?
He didn't include a 2%. don't think it's in that line though.
Yeah.
It was just in writing.
I think after 8 years, I don't think that's not asking too much. We can go another 8 years at $50 and
And we can kind of walk through these and come back if you guys want to too. It's up to you, however you want to do it. Kind of walk through them all and come back and,
Well, my concern is that if we put all these in the budget, there's nothing left, so.
and I think that's kind of why I'm here, is I want to know what your priorities are versus not so much.
I'm fine with
Maybe
going
all the
through
rest of them
and
in
coming
GR.
back.
yeah.
But
I mean, my priority would be to give our employees raises and work over some of this other stuff. So that's meeting somewhere in the middle. I mean, I'd be okay with that. I mean, you know, maybe it goes to 45.
Okay, so,
I
So-
mean, I'm not saying that's the answer,
so this one, maybe wait until after we get a raise in there, and if we have additional dollars, go back to this one as something possible.
right, that's just me. Just one.
what is the total amount on that line item?
30,250 is what the total, the $10 per
But
hour.
what's the
would-
total before that?
118, I think. I think budget is 121 a year.
You're gonna have all these kind of grouped together, ones that you're, bring to our attention, so we can go back and look at them each individually, or?
Talk about GR maybe?
Yeah, yes, so this year we're kind of gonna do the budget hearings a little different as well. We kind of extended the time frame so we can kind of walk through each individual budget a little closer while they're sitting here, so you guys can ask all the questions you have. But really, that's the only significant change in his budget. I mean, everything else is,
Are we having troubles getting attorneys for those?
Not heard that.
I don't know that he has said that, no.
I think it's basically a pro bono type of thing, and they're getting some reimbursement. I mean, obviously, that's not even close to what their hourly rate would be. But
Yeah, I understand that, but if we're not having troubles getting them, then why raise it?
No, $45 might be a good compromise. Yeah, let's see.
let's go through all of them.
Yeah,
Let's
let's keep going, we'll
see.
kind of come back.
So I'm just curious how many hours? I guess if you just divide it by the $40 an hour.
Yeah, so
then
it says in his note how
it's
many hours.
gonna tell us 3,000 hours essentially.
So,
Yeah, 3,025 hours per year.
So that's, one full-time and one part-time, so we just hired 1.5 attorneys for that.
No, we would never get attorneys for that, I don't think.
well, and I think,
You have to, doesn't it have to be separated from the,
So the 3,025 hours is not all the time that they're there. They only get the bill for.
right,
uh,
yeah, I
time
think
that
there's,
They're representing. I mean, they may be there for 3 hours and they only get the bill for 1.
right, yeah,
And they watch that pretty close, and so,
and
yeah,
I
you'd
even
have to
seen,
have 3 or 4 attorneys to do that work.
and I've even seen the judge scratch it out and put an amount in there. Cause they have to approve it.
okay, so we're just gonna kind of walk through them all, and then we'll kind of come back. Something else I kind of want to talk about is there's quite a few requests for additional employees. Kind of want to know if there's ones that are really important to you versus not so much. In the past, we've always kind of we take care of our current employees first and then add additional if we have extra. But I know that a few of these have been asked for before. So health department, we have the nurse practitioner position, a health educator position, an additional environmental position, and then a WIC certifier position. I've talked to Christy about the WIC certifier, and I think we're gonna kind of hold off on it and see where the caseload goes. They did increase our reimbursement on those cases, so if we see a significant increase in the numbers, we may come back and approach that one again. So if the dollars go up, we may need to add that additional position during the year. But the other three are kind of up in the air. I know the nurse practitioner we've talked about before, the health educator, I think she came in the middle of this year and asked for. Christy's here if you have questions for her.
So, I mean, I'd just like to know, I mean, obviously the nurse practitioner would fill kind of our health insurance gap, and that could possibly create additional revenue, almost like a,
So I know we did the survey. I didn't see results from the survey. I mean, I know we've talked about it in the past. I don't know that it's ever going to pay for itself.
from our usage.
Right.
Yeah, no, there's no way, but, I think it would pay for itself if we opened it up to outside people and we were able to bill people that come into the health department, and it might take a little while before that would get out, but I think there's potential there to at least pay for the position.
I agree, and we talked to the city about using it, and they said they would open it up to their employees, and then we could just bill their insurance, like a Quick Care does now. They would just run it through that way.
There's still always a problem with staffing and with one person and, you know, thinking about a contract service with one of the hospitals versus our own employee type thing too.
I mean, because if this person is sick or on vacation, we will not have an additional person to
You know,
To
we would have say,
backfill
yeah,
with, we
have
would-
to say there's no nurse practitioner today for that day.
So I think one of the questions was, could it be something we contract with a hospital or something to have them provide the nurse practitioner and we provide the space, and some kind of agreement that we get a discounted rate for our employees if we're providing them the space or something. I don't know. I don't know what
And
that
just
looks
to see
like.
how that would work, see how
I
it
don't
would go
think we,
over.
I know the Cap region is at the community health center. They have a number of doctors over there, and I don't know how they work that.
I just figured they would have more availability to switch people in and out to have constant coverage if that was what we were looking for.
Is there any kind of a nurse practitioner group or anything that, I mean,
I don't know, we'd have to look into that. I would say that they all run through the hospitals because they have to operate under a physician's standing orders as well.
So this position is one of the ones that there are additional costs besides just the position probably that we would have to look at if you added this one in.
right?
I think if we can get the city to participate too, and with our employees, I think it would probably come close to being a wash. And especially if we have some of your clients using it too,
And we
so.
could just set up a flat fee for them, or, you know, if they don't have insurance, we can bill insurance, or.
I think it's something we should look at, but I think we need more information. I mean, we're gonna need, like you said, a couple nurse practitioners that may be able to work in our clinic, possibly 3 days a week with, you know, somebody that may be able to fill in if they're sick a day, or some type of arrangement that, you know, and there might be there might be several. I mean, it could be 2 or 3, but on a part-time basis.
I guess the only thing I see possibility being an issue there is the insurance or
Yeah.
whatever that you're carrying. Are you gonna require them to carry that or us? So the more the number of people that you have doing it, the higher that insurance cost is going to be because you're going to have more people under the policy.
I think we would have to cover it if we have our own. And that's very expensive. That's why a lot of the doctors are now becoming clinics to the hospitals, because the malpractice insurance and all the other insurances is really, really exorbitant.
So I think there's a lot of questions with that position itself that we need to answer before we get really serious about.
The majority of the survey said they would use it. Of course, if it was cheaper, it was more use. And then I think the only concerns is some people asked about if the visit summary would go to their doctor, which we could fax it or print it, because our EMRs are not tied, it wouldn't go automatically. And then when we talked about the issue just amongst the nurses like Donna and Jana about, well, if the person's sick, and I mean, if we're just providing like a quick care or urgent care type service, there's plenty others in town. So if our person was sick that day, they could just go to a different
Right.
one. It's not like our person is the only person that could see them for that strep throat. But I understand if you're trying to do it as a convenience, then if that person's sick, it's not very convenient anymore.
Right.
And then do it to me once, I'm not coming
Right,
back.
yeah, I see that being the case. If I drove over there and
Yeah.
they're not there, the next time I'm not gonna
Right.
drive there, I'm gonna drive
Right.
wherever I went,
Right.
so.
But, we could explore, Cap Region or St. Mary's or the community health center, I know that it just depends, if it's a resident or a nurse practitioner, how much supervision they have to have and standing orders and things like that.
Yeah, just too many questions, I think, to decide today, but
Okay.
hopefully follow up. Try to get some of those answers.
Okay, health educator,
Okay.
That's the one I think would be the most benefit, that's kind of my top priority, and the most benefit to the department, because, all my staff are busy doing their normal jobs in, planning classes, getting people registered, promoting the classes with social media. It all takes a lot of time, and I think that with the food safety classes, on-site sewage classes, we could charge a fee, even with some of the cooking classes, for worksite wellness. It would be a benefit, we have an outside speaker that does it for free coming in. If we had a health educator that could do some of those classes or just organize it to where, they have everything done and then the dietitian just comes and teaches the class. But all that social media stuff, I also, if they could be a certified health wellness coach, they could do those things. We wouldn't have to pay Cap Region to do that. And then if the person had the skills to help look for grant opportunities, or if they have writing skills where they could help, help one of the other staff write grants, they could help with worksite wellness. So I think that's the one that would be the most benefit to the department.
so this one I kind of, in the back of my mind, am thinking, if this person's going to do wellness as well, could this be a shared position that maybe the health insurance fund helps fund? I don't know if that would be like a flat dollar amount that fund would pay for this position, or how that would work, but if that is going to be a large portion of their job duties, could that be something that we use for our wellness, that does the biometric stuff and does the health coaching and things like that for our employees? Could this be something that we,
You don't mind if I turn these lights on?
No, go
Yeah,
ahead.
go ahead.
So I'm interested in that position.
No, it works.
Is it over here?
Is it those? Or-
Yeah,
oh,
those
yeah.
over there.
Oh, I thought you meant the different.
I think we go through this every.
Yeah.
There we
I mean, I think for that reason, I see big benefit in getting out in the schools more, being out in the community more, driving more people to use our services, and then obviously, that's more people we serve, but, I mean, that's why we're there. I
Right,
mean,
and
that's our
prevention.
function, yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you look at some of our health rankings, they're not sadly getting any better, I talked about, the STD rates, the syphilis rates. We've got to get ahead of the issue, and we need to do more prevention, and we need a health educator.
Well, opioids,
Yes.
vaping.
I
mean,
know, it's all
there's a lot of
prevention.
scary stuff
Go to
going
health
on and
insurance fund.
out there for our kids and stuff.
560.
We're talking about Narcan and stuff here the other day, people overdosing and stuff, so. Anyway, I think that's something that we should consider. And maybe it's a shared position with the health insurance fund.
So while we're talking about that one, Debbie's gonna go to the health insurance fund. So another one on my list is, this year we had $50,000 in there for employee wellness. We've not gotten close to spending that. So, I mean, I think that you could use a portion of those funds for that position, if that's something you're interested in. Cause that was one of my other questions is, do you want to still do 50,000 for employee wellness or not?
But I think they have to be dedicated to educating our employees and
Yeah.
our
Yeah, they would be in
people.
charge of the lunch and learns and things like that too.
So we would really have to come up with like what percentage of their time they're spending on
Right.
employee wellness versus health education programs.
I think that's smart, I think.
Probably like 20.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just need to take it a little, even a step further. I mean, obviously, not everybody participates in the lunch and learns, and so,
Right.
I mean, I don't care if they go out and have lunch one-on-one with somebody, I mean, you know.
Well, and that's what that health coaching is
Right,
like too.
get in a truck and ride with the guy with
Yeah.
Public Works, and if you're on the job site or wherever that may be, I mean, you know, some of those people aren't
Right.
at a office all day long where they can just easily come into a lunch and learn, so sometimes you gotta go to the people that.
Well,
that
and
need
I
the
had
coaching, so.
someone else ask me if we have anyone on staff that does like ergonomics with your desk.
We've
So
talked
like
about that, too.
go into the offices and kind of make sure that they're, you know, sitting with their legs at a 90 degree, that their monitors are eye level, that they're, you know, that they're ergonomically doing what they're supposed to do so that we prevent back issues and carpal tunnel and things like that. So I don't know if that's something.
They can be trained to do ergonomic assessments, probably.
I've given them the website to go to,
Hmm.
the OSHA website.
You can
That's
come
why we have
Google it
those,
if you really wanna learn how to do it.
I mean, it does, it
Yeah, well,
You
specifically
can watch a
says.
YouTube video how to be ergonomically correct or whatever. So, I think a lot of that's just, they need to be
Key terms right now.
self-promoting
Key
there, I
terms
guess.
right
with
now.
that.
Yeah, it is.
But I think you taking the time to go do it versus someone coming in and say, hey, if you fix this and this, it may help you. Maybe just, I don't know.
You just gotta make it a game.
No.
With zombies, right?
No.
That's like, so people are really enjoying that.
Okay.
No, I'm not, because Chris was napping last night.
Who's in the safe house?
We're getting eaten by zombies. I'm too young to die.
But then you become one.
I just forget to load my steps, so, anyway.
Somebody texts you, load your steps.
What do you think, health educator Sam?
I kinda wanna go
That's like
through them all. I'm along the lines, I wanna take care of what we have first. We got a lot of people looking for different positions, so I can't say, well, we're gonna add this one, and then get to Judy's and go, oh, well, we ran out of money, so. So I wanna see what all of them are, and I wanna
So
weigh them
adding
all.
somebody to environmental,
Yeah, environmental just seems like it has blown up lately and more complaints and, they haven't had a lot of time to work on like ordinance reviews, they wanna change the fee schedules. We're just bogged down with a lot of complaints and, you know, we had a complaint at a local lodging establishment the other day and what, you know, because the manager wasn't honest about what was going on in the room, you know, what could have been an hour turned into like 6 hours. They were there all day, you know, for this complaint, figuring out what was going on, so. Yeah, takes a lot of time. And they wanna develop classes too, well, you know, you can't just host an on-site wastewater treatment system class, you have to develop the curriculum and you have to get it approved by DHSS, so you can give the installers the credit hours for it, and, you know, it's not just, we're gonna hold a class, you know, it has to be approved and.
That seems like it goes in spurts too, 'cause
Yeah.
we'll have some complaints that we just spend a lot of time on, and they are headaches.
might have all been grass, tall grass. Man,
This lodging was,
Oh,
they were self-treating.
Although I got jumped last night at the
People first.
thing on an
Hmm.
abandoned car that the sheriff wanted to do anything.
I'm gonna just go down the list here.
I heard about that.
Oh, talk to Carolyn.
Any
No,
other
thanks.
questions about environmental?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Any other questions about the environmental position? We'll just keep going down the list if,
Yeah.
okay. Go to 127. So I did have a question from EMS regarding their rent that they pay. They are not in agreement with the amount that they're paying for rent. So, I guess, do you all want to adjust? So there's two amounts of rent for the Shepherd's Building. There's the EMA side and the EMS side. One comes out of 650, which is the EMS sales tax. One comes out of 660, which is EMS's operating. Do you guys see any adjustments you want to make to those rent amounts?
What about the sheriff's rent?
He doesn't pay, like, we do the rent lease payment, which is $2 million.
Three.
Right, but he's using that building as well.
I guess with the transfer that we do there, it would be like us paying him to pay us back.
And this is an enterprise fund versus a required fund. The enterprise fund is versus, that's the only one we have that's like that, right?
So what's the amount for EMA versus EMS?
One is 4,500 a month and one's
5,000.
5,000,
So EMA has
4,500.
yeah, I mean, they basically have that whole side, and then that other room in the back. I know Donnell has some stuff in the back there, but
We all do.
Yeah.
EMA is about 75% of that building.
I would
And
guess,
it's not finished square footage versus his part that is finished. I mean, we spent over $1 million when we moved him up front.
and I would say that Bill's wear and tear on the building itself probably isn't as large, other than the garage doors going up and down. There's not a lot of people, there's not a lot of traffic.
I mean, we can go back and look at what cost square footage for open garages in this town versus, that's kind of how we did it before. I went to the assessor and tried to get an amount that we all agreed to. And we haven't changed it.
Right, it's been the same since.
So the $1 million that we spent to move them, though, we paid for that out of
Capital.
their capital, right? So normally, if you were a tenant, you might pay for some of their interior finish, but you wouldn't pay for a lot of that. I mean, if you were paying rent on something, you'd expect your landlord to pay for some of that.
Well, we subsidize that fund anyway, so it's not like,
Subsidize what fund?
enterprise fund. Through that sales tax, obviously.
I don't know. You guys just want to keep moving on? We gotta make.
Yeah.
I've talked
So,
to Matt a
so
little
this
bit
one
about
will
it.
affect multiple funds. So the 650 and 660 is where it's coming from. Both of these are paid into general accounts in 127, so in general fund. So it will reduce the revenue in general fund. It will reduce the expenses in those other two funds. So this one affects multiple places. This is probably one that we probably need to make a decision on.
So EMAs, they get to charge that, and then we get a portion of that reimbursed through,
No, we started out that way a little bit, but
how's-
Bill uses his entire budget for his operation, so when he gets done, there's not enough left over to pay the rent payment.
okay, so where's we're giving Bill money out of GR to pay this, or?
No, his is currently coming out of EMS sales tax for that building.
So the EMS sales tax is paying for his portion too?
Yes. That was a change that got made last year because, I don't know, we talked about possibility of his equipment being used for emergency purposes that
And it is. I mean, his equipment, I mean, the sales tax covers more than just EMS. It was, you know, emergency services. So we've used it for 911, we've used it for first responders, we've used that sales tax for more than just EMS. A small amount of it.
So, I guess I'm still confused. Where's the rent going? It's coming out of capital and going,
So Bill's comes out of 650 capital. EMS's comes out of 660, they're operating. Both of those transfer money to general. But there's also expenses that are coming out of general, out of Greg's budget for those buildings as well. I mean, the utilities on Bill's side, the cleaning supplies, the smaller maintenance items for that building are coming out of general fund. So there's some expenses offsetting, especially Bill's portion.
Now, EMS side, they'll pay for their parts, but I ain't the labor.
So, I mean, there are some maintenance issues that are being paid for out of general fund for that, but they do pay an administrative fee as well.
so if you decrease their rent, then you decrease the amount that general has to use.
Correct.
It just depends on where you wanna take it from, is all that it's coming down to, it's the same amount. And
Well, not really. I mean, this is transferring from one fund into general. That's $114,000. It's coming into general
well, I'm
from
saying
that
in the
fund.
bottom line that it's county money paying for it.
True.
So whether mom writes a check or dad writes a check, it's still coming out of the same kitty.
Right, but I mean, if you wanna decrease that amount, you're decreasing the amount that general fund has to operate on. So,
So Matt's
Right.
suggestion from EMS
Yeah,
was taking it from 60,000 to 30,000.
And I've talked with Matt on this, and I think he sees that all of it's coming from the emergency services. So,
But in turn,
but
we feed
I would still
emergency services.
challenge him to find some place at 5,000 a month that has everything that has.
right,
So that price I don't think is out of whack. You can make the argument that 5,000 a month is 1.8 million over 30 years, but he's still gonna be able to build something like that. And that would just be principal, so I
And
don't
you're-
think it's out of whack.
and you're right.
We looked at it, was didn't we figure it per square foot? So. and we-
but when we've built stuff at other places, like, I mean, obviously, when we bought the health department, we bought that out of capital, right?
We bought that out of general.
General, right, the general's capital, right?
Reserve,
Right.
yeah.
Right, our fund, so, but I mean, we're not charging them rent.
We could, we just gotta pay ourselves.
Well, I was gonna say, in that circumstance, you would be paying yourself, because
Right.
they're
But I-
general fund, so it literally wouldn't be
But I'm just
transferring
trying to make
money
a similar
anywhere.
comparison. I mean, we
Well-
bought the building, you know, those people aren't gonna pay us back in rent. I mean, when we probably done stuff at Public Works, we paid for some of those improvements probably out there, and,
And EMS, because it is an enterprise fund, is way different than the funds that you have to supply. Enterprise fund, we want all those expenses that truly belong to that enterprise to be there. So we know we're charging the right amount for an ambulance ride. You know, Because we can.
And I think
recoup
reimbursement
that.
too for like Medicaid, his ground medical transport, you want to include the true cost of his service. So if we did not provide that building and we had to go rent it from somewhere else, you want that cost included so that he's presenting his true costs when they're determining what amount of reimbursement we get back.
I mean, really, the only true cost to the health department, besides, you know, you guys believing that's what we need to do for this community, is the difference between their revenue and their expense. What is the county actually putting into that?
Right.
I don't know, the way you talked yesterday, you don't tell them what it costs you, you just get a firm rate for an ALS, BLS, BLS one, or ALS one, or ALS two, or,
But I think part of it is you have to prove that there's a difference between the rate you're charging them and what the state's reimbursing you
yeah,
for.
it's the level of care that they're gonna receive is the way I understood it. That,
Well,
were
it's-
you there when we were
it's a
talking about it?
percentage. It's a percentage of
I don't
cost.
recall, I don't think so.
Because they no longer itemize it because people were throwing extra charges in there and, you know, cheating the system. So
Right.
they just said,
So
look, here's
he
a flat
did,
rate.
he did say that, so obviously we were talking about administering a certain drug, and sometimes those drugs are very expensive, and we don't get to bill them for the drug. We just get, so, might be a $700 drug that we have to give them to save their life, and then we only get to charge the insurance company $650, so we lose our ass on that. So it's really doesn't depend on the services you provide or all the equipment that you had to use or all the supplies you had to use to save someone's life. It's just, you get this.
I'm more apt just to leave it alone at this point. I mean,
Both of
I haven't
them
heard
are,
any arguments to change it, yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
anybody else?
I think
I mean, it's not something that we can't continue to talk about, but
I'm with Jeff.
Matt's not up here, so.
Wait for your
It'll
phone to
come in
ring.
a little bit.
Yeah,
He'll come change your mind.
No, he's got arguments for it. I'm
Yes.
fine with that. I'm just, it's not enough to convince me right now.
No.
At the end of the day, we only have 2 hours today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're-
I
we're
got a
not-
salesman coming in at 10.
So next would be parks reimbursement. I know that Road and Bridge has kind of talked about parks and changing it around. This year, they've only asked for an increase in that transfer from 18,000 to 20,000.
How do I get
It's-
back out of juvenile?
What, top
Well,
corner?
I found
low?
where you were at, well,
Oh,
I just
load.
go back to load data then. Okay. So then go into 172.
Yep.
I know we've talked many times about hiring people just for parks, about contracting out the services at parks. We've kind of always come back to the way we've been doing it. I don't know that it's unreasonable to increase this by 2,000 because it's been 18 for a long time. I just wanted to run it by you guys before we made that change. If you wanted to see anything different or how that's being done.
It's probably got people.
Yeah, I mean, I serve on the Parks Committee. We got basically 3 parks and basically mow the grass. We pick up trash and empty the trash cans. And obviously, we do other improvements there too, but
They usually bill for those. I mean,
Right.
they get billed separately.
I mean, that 20,000 is, or 18,000 is basically probably doesn't even really cover their costs. I mean, they had a mower that shot craps, and we've never included mower costs into parks and.
No, and I think that in the past, we've bought the mower out of capital improvement sales tax.
And we did have a line item within the last 5 years for parks. I think it was just 100,000.
Over the 5 years.
Yes.
I don't really have any questions on it right now. We'll just come back to it.
So while we're talking about Road and Bridge, they had an employee that retired that worked for planning. I think they are going to stay with 3 people in their office instead of a 4th person, but they want to move one of their employees from Public Works to planning, and that person would cover their planning and park stuff that comes out of general. Do you have a problem with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Not anything I can think of right now.
So back to health insurance again. Do we want to do the 50,000 for employee wellness? And then, this one's probably a larger discussion. Do we want to change dependent healthcare coverages? That's a significant change that's been brought up more than once. Do we want the county to cover a larger portion of dependent healthcare costs to attract employees, or do we not? That's one that we probably need to talk about now. Again, that's a significant change that could change the budget in all departments. If that's something you're thinking about, I probably need to know.
So I wanna keep the 50,000 in there for wellness.
Yes?
Yeah, 'cause
And then I'd like for us to change the dependent coverage, the percentage.
Do you have a percentage that you're thinking?
Well, can we dive into health insurance, or do you know what those costs are for, individuals, spouse, and children?
You just want that rates up here, or? I mean, I can-
Yeah.
I forgot where I put it all. Talk amongst yourself, I remember.
I always stare at you, Debbie.
Talk
So
some.
we
No
gotta go-
pressure.
We gotta go to 500 fund and then 620,
Yeah, that probably ain't gonna help you with this.
560 fund.
560. Yeah, jeez.
You got rough numbers?
About 20 base.
So was it 620 was, what, employees are,
Yes.
roughly?
Okay, but that isn't really what I wanted to bring up, sorry.
I was thinking, yeah,
Is that
what we
you want?
charge the employees was about 620.
Well, what
Okay.
we charge the departments, the employees, that is the cost, $620. The county does pay for all of that for the
Right.
employee. What she's talking about is if you add your children.
Right. So if,
So right now, we're subsidizing on an average about 20%.
so individual cost would be 620, so spouse would be, say, 620, I mean, but obviously we're subsidizing that, so it's less
Right.
than that. So you're saying 20%, which would be $124, so roughly $500 is what a spouse would pay currently. Is that about right? No.
Yeah,
I think the 2 are less than doubling a single branch
I'm sorry, I can't think of where I put that.
typically.
I know I pay 144 pay period or something just for my kids.
For your kids?
Mhm.
Is that just 2 pay periods a month?
Yeah, so 24 pay periods a year.
So you're at 288.
Why is this not bringing it up?
That's out there, it sounds like it's coming from right
Is
there.
that for one or multiple kids?
Right.
Kids, it's the same
Flat.
price, no matter how many you add.
Okay,
So it's 144.02 for kids, 452.09. The real cost for having a family is all, is this plus that.
So you're still paying the employee's portion.
Right. Of a family, we're paying 114 now. Of a child, we're paying 38. Of a spouse, we're paying 73.
So
These are about 20%. If you're talking about increasing those, what I had done was just ran it for, if you increased these to 50%,
Right.
based on current enrollment only,
right.
would cost you about $27,000
Per fund.
per fund more.
And what,
Well, the
do
3
you
big
have a
funds.
50% there somewhere?
Of what that cost would be.
Yeah, well, 50%, what would that take?
50%,
I didn't know if you had that somewhere
No,
else.
I do, but I can't find the right spreadsheet right now.
Okay,
I'm under
so-
pressure here. I don't know.
We can-
Let me
we
keep
can-
looking.
But
Yeah,
Well, I was
That
gonna
was-
say, let's go through a couple other things while she finds that. We'll
That's
come
fine.
back to that one.
But I think that's something we can look at the end too.
I think
See
you
where
really
we're
can
at.
penalize employees that don't have children though, if you're gonna bump that up to 50%. I mean, that's worth a lot of money.
As long as it's not increasing what you pay for the individuals, I don't wanna, I mean, we don't
Right.
pay anything, so I mean, as long as you don't make that individual pay, anything is first and foremost.
Well, I think Larry's saying then whatever it does cost more is coming out of general, or coming out of the fund, that less money to raises
raises or-
or, yeah.
see, then having a nurse practitioner becomes more important, because if the families can go to the nurse practitioner, their kids, when they got the flu or a sore throat or something, it's a heck of a lot cheaper.
I get what you're saying, Larry, but I mean, that's probably true in every business out there. I mean, people, the state does it for people, and I mean,
But you're seeing more businesses
Let me get my
pay
paper.
less towards dependent care
Right.
than more.
right? And so,
That's
but
the
private,
industry
private
standard.
businesses also have to pay more to attract employees too, because, you know,
Personally, I would rather see you improve the benefits for all employees from what, I mean, you all made some changes in the last couple of years, but have increased the out-of-pocket expense for employees considerably.
I think I wanted to look at it because we've had some departments say that they've not been able to hire some people because of the family insurance, so that's why it is in the back of my head. I'm along the same lines as you, but
But going from
But I don't have kids
but going
either,
from
so-
20% to 50% is a
Okay.
pretty huge jump.
What does the
Right.
state and the city pay right now?
Right now, the state of Missouri is about
Bless you.
85, anywhere from 80 to 85. The city of Jeff is anywhere from 80 to 90%. Now, but then
Dependent
the,
coverage?
Of the dependent?
yes,
I don't think so.
right, here it
But
is.
I doubt the state does.
Oh, yes, that's why everybody likes the state. That's why they don't have to pay that much for, I mean, if you're retired or whatever, that's way different at the state, you know, depending on what tier, you know. But yes, they do subsidize a lot for dependent. I'm not saying they don't, but
I don't know, I'd just like to see something in there too for if you participate in the wellness programs and stuff, because, you know, we do these
But
fun
they-
games
Well,
and
that's
get
what the
people to
state-
up and exercise
yeah.
and stuff, but,
But
I
they
mean, I was
charge
walking
for
around,
employees.
I had to walk around eating my ice cream sandwiches last night.
Yeah.
Well, the zombies, so,
Jennifer went and
it's either
shadowed
sit on the
city.
couch and watch Sports Center, or get up and
Yeah,
walk
walk
around and,
Jennifer
you have to
went
walk
and
around
shadowed
carrying
the-
your cooler too.
no.
Actually,
I put it downstairs, cause then I gotta go downstairs. And my licorice is in individually wrapped things, so I have to grab them off the refrigerator. I gotta peel it, well now I gotta throw it away, so I walk to the trash can, and then it sticks to your hand because it's like static electricity. There's all kinds of problems with this exercise.
We're going down the rabbit hole. Do I need to find the squirrel?
Yeah, no, the squirrel just distracts us worse.
Jennifer went and shadowed the city's wellness person, and they have like a point system, so people get points, and that, you know, decreases, the more points they get, the more like they decrease their insurance costs, they get extra days off, or, you know, whatever.
we're gonna hire somebody to do it.
Yeah.
And that's why the city's broke.
Larry Benson said that.
But I know when we were talking,
I can tell you, they're
when we were talking to the city about the nurse practitioner, and they were saying they have like 900 people on their health plan. And so they've got a lot of family, because they don't have 900 employees.
And what I'm saying too is, you know, the city and the state does supplement more for dependents, but they also make the employee pay part. We here at the county have remained whole for our employees, not so much for the dependents. We have never been able to keep up with what the state and the city did. But here is like at a 50% margin. So if you were had your spouse on it now, you were paying $261.53. It would go down to this $167. You were paying $144 for your children. You'd pay $91.01. Family, you were paying $452. You would pay at 50% $283. Yes, for the employees that take those coverages, there would be a significant 30% decrease in their expense for that if you went to 50.
That's bi-weekly though, right?
That's right.
Yes.
So it's,
That's my,
It's your person.
But I don't really ever want to get to the point where we have to charge our employees for health insurance, and this is why we haven't had to.
Right.
It's because we are keeping the dependent cost down, or,
that's on the PPO, right?
yes, this one is, and here's the HSA.
Brian.
At 50%.
Brian, stop poking the guy.
Bernie.
He can't help himself.
Ed. I like Ed better.
were we
You can
on?
call him Bernie. Oh, yeah, we were on.
Okay.
But again, that would totally, based on current enrollment of who takes dependents, would cost you about $104,000 more. Guarantee you there'll be more people that jump on. Will they jump on at 50%? Some. 80%? Oh yes, they will all jump on.
So if you increase it to 50%, it's gonna cost us $105,000.
Yeah.
Now, that is,
Based on current.
that's all employees across all funds, so.
Right, yeah.
You figure the larger funds is probably about 27,000 a fund.
Yes.
So will you give me my $642 a month if I drop off the county's plan and go on the state's plan and only have to pay the 85, I only have to pay 15%? I can make money off of that.
No.
No?
No, there's multiple
Yeah,
people
there's
currently
multiple.
that don't take county insurance.
And has it for multiple years. But the big thing here is if you were to do this, I would still want a stipulation from the employee that says, if my spouse has coverage somewhere else, they're not allowed to come on this plan,
Right.
period.
So the city employees pay a little, so much a month for
Right,
theirs?
well, they were, I don't know, theirs is gonna change here too pretty soon, $35 a month. Now, they can be in a wellness plan and maybe not have to pay that,
So they pay $35 for themselves,
yes.
So they pay a
and
portion
then
of
what do
their
they
own.
pay for their spouse? That's per month.
Well, let's just go to children. They pay, $185 a month.
$185 a month.
That's the way I got it, yep.
And what
So
did you
that
say
would be-
you're paying, Kristen, for your kids?
Oh, no, that's family, I'm sorry. Oh,
288
that's
is
true.
what she's paying currently.
I can't be right.
Yeah, 288. I pay 144, pay 3.
But, you know, they have different plans too.
Right, just my kids.
They have different plans. If you have 1 kid, 2 kid, 3 kid, it keeps changing the rate. Same with the state. Like the state employee only at the state pays $106 a month. You know, and then if you have 1 child, it's $134, $154 if you have 2, and it's just a sliding scale. And then even on the family rate, it's a family, it's like $375, but it keeps going up depending on how many kids you have in the family.
So the numbers up here are still bi-weekly numbers, right?
Yes.
So the 9101 for children would still be 180.
Bi-weekly, like times it by 2, and that's your monthly amount. I mean, I could go back and re-get all these. I don't know where I saved this at, but
So ideally, in a truly fair world, I mean, people that didn't take county health insurance would get the money that we spend on others, but that ain't never gonna happen.
the
I
city
mean-
does do that.
Huh?
The city gives, if you don't take the insurance, it gives you $500 to buy anything else you want. Like extra Aflac policies, put extra money in cafeteria plan, whatever you wanna do.
It
We've
has
never
to,
gone there.
It has to stay within like something you already deduct for.
That's
though.
right.
It's not like you get
Oh, no.
here $500.
Doesn't come on your check.
No.
No. Yeah.
I mean,
You could add it to your cafeteria plan?
Yes,
About, well, okay.
no, no, not in that realm.
I don't
In
know.
the health realm.
So, we're not, I'm gonna include myself here in this comment, we're not a young bunch here at the county.
Average age is 42.
And so,
Seems pretty young to me.
Yeah, sounds good to me. It may be 43 by now, but it was 42.
anyway, but I mean, everybody's having trouble finding people. I mean, you know, we've been lucky in some areas, but, you know, the sheriff's down 14 positions. I mean, everybody's struggling to hire decent people. And so we gotta start hiring some young people to fill these positions. And so, you know, young people struggle with paying for dependent coverage, especially people that are married, that a spouse may not work. I mean, it's, so I mean, that's a reality. And so a lot of them don't have health insurance because they can't afford it. I mean, I know that because, you know, I was self-employed and I was paying $1,500 a month for my family. $1,500. I mean, that was huge. It's a big chunk, so. Anyway, it's a huge cost, and, you know, if there's some way to make it fair, I don't know, but I mean, it's gonna cost us a fortune if we do that. But we're gonna
Your
lose.
source has some statistics on those types of things?
I could ask. They would just have to go out to the market and see. I mean, to me, we do compete against the city. We do compete against the state. I'm not sure who else you would want to compare that to, you know, because we are government, you know. So, I mean, I could have them compare it to Boone County, which we all know where that's going to go.
Yeah.
Got something?
As what you were saying, for looking for employees, would be dealing with it most of the time on a regular basis. A lot of the younger kids or younger people, let me rephrase what I'm saying, younger people that are coming and applying for the job is not looking at our health insurance, they're not looking at our retirement, they're looking at what we're paying per hour.
Yeah, and I'll agree. I don't think it's the younger people, for whatever reason. I mean, that's the law. They could stay on their parents till they're 26. They shouldn't. They should come on here. I don't know how many of them will waive it because they're still on their parents. I said, that's not right. We're offering it to you. Take it. There's a lot of them that don't. So I
So-
don't think that's a good thing that they passed there.
I mean, obviously, young.
But I'd say too, if you have dependents, so you have a spouse or a child, you're off of your parents. I mean,
Yes, at that rate.
so
yes.
at that point, you're talking about two different.
Well, I was
groups
thinking of the
of-
younger people when he was talking about, I mean, most of them.
I mean, I
Not
would
coming
say
with
that,
family.
that younger single people are, I mean, they're here for a while and then they're moving on. I mean, it's a stepping stone, you know, if they're a good qualified person, they're gonna get in, they're gonna work for a while, and then they're on to bigger and better things. I mean, they're gonna take more money somewhere else, and we can't compete with that. I mean, we'd be an initial job for some of those people. Now, somebody that's got a family that's looking to settle down, I think that's a different situation for them because they're looking for something that's steady. But, I mean, every person's different, and everybody's always looking to make more money to support their family. And so, obviously, we're gonna struggle to compete with that.
Well, we're absorbing the cost right now for our employees, but if you do something like that, then we might have to do what the state's doing where, what'd you say, it's $183 a month for the
106.
employee. I mean, I don't know, even if you said like $100 a month for the employee for their health insurance, we could
Well,
lose some people.
I don't think that we
Just-
should jump from paying 20% to paying 80% either. I think that your 50% or something like that is a more reasonable move, and then see how many people we have jump on and reevaluate where we're at. I don't think you want to make that large of a jump to be comparable with them as far as the percentage at this point in time. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that you take that big of a going from paying 20% to paying 80%.
No, I would not
Do
recommend
you
that.
know what our personnel cost is as a percentage to the entire general fund?
Just a general fund.
I don't know it at the.
I mean, it's up there.
Yeah,
It's-
it's a very large portion of general
Yeah, that's
fund.
what we do.
Is salaries.
So,
Over 50%?
oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Over 70%?
Probably 80%.
I'd say it's probably at 80, I don't know what general fund. Just in general.
Well, but salaries and, health insurance and all that stuff, I mean, it's
Just go to
the
general
biggest
fund.
portion of the,
Well, so I can load.
I don't know how to do it.
So of 21 million, let's just estimate, was 19's budget of that. Doo-doo-doo.
And that wouldn't include employees like the sheriffs that are paid out of his fund.
Right, this would just be general fund. So 8.2 of that is salaries and benefits.
8.2.
Million of the 21.
Oh.
Now, the 21 includes our reserves though.
Yeah, I would take that out, because that distorts it.
Yes.
how much is in reserves?
Huh?
8 or 9.
8 or 9?
Our general fund budget is only
10.
10 million?
Mhm.
No. 8 off of 21?
Oh,
You got 8 in
14.
reserves and you got 8.9 and
14.
Yeah, 14 million. Of that 14, 8 is salary. So a little over half.
See, I actually think
That
that's
counts the
pretty good.
benefits.
Back when I was on the city council, which was in the late 90s, the city's personnel cost was over 75% of their general fund. And that's really why they are financially strapped every year.
That's also why in the past we've taken the stance that we take care of the people we have instead of adding
New people.
more and more people. I mean, we haven't added a ton of people, especially in general fund, in the last 5 years.
Right.
I mean, the only department I can really think that's added significantly is the pretrial release program.
Our department's gone down.
We actually had
But I-
50% of my department.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brian, it's all your
Yeah, his
fault.
department grew.
Doubled.
But I don't think anybody is not getting the job done because of that. Except for Brian.
Except for Brian.
you
So-
said we had 8 million in reserves?
We're probably right at it, yeah.
And that's the general fund reserves, we're not talking about sheriff's.
Yes,
or-
that's general fund reserves. Our reserve policy with refinancing and stuff with the jail, we've told them we would stay at 6.
But again, when we look at those reserves, we don't look at adding anything that will continually cost us money,
Mhm.
which is people and benefits.
So that's why we've spent on the health department or the Adams Street building. It's a one-time cost that we can spin those reserves down. It's not an ongoing cost that never goes away. We've tried to stay within your current revenue with your current expenses. If we come out better at the end of the year, we add that to reserves and we look for projects and things that are one-time costs to spin those down.
So if we take the health insurance fund from 20% to 50%, how does it affect everything else?
About 25,000
Yeah,
each fund.
with the
Right,
current
but how does it
employee.
affect
Yes.
each individual fund? I mean, is there more or less, or, I mean? so-
I would say it's about the same across the three larger funds, so that would be EMS, Sheriff's Department, and General Fund are the larger
Right.
of them. It's gonna cost you about 25 or 26,000 per fund to go to that 50%. So the 104, there's where the bulk of your employees are that have dependent coverage. I mean, there are some in.
It would cost each fund that amount of money, then that'd be less money that we'd have to play with for other things.
Correct.
Do we actually know that employees are leaving because of that?
I've not heard anybody leaving because of that. Maybe recruitment. I've only heard that from actually
I think
one department.
Matt had said he'd
We had
lost,
one nurse that turned out at hospital.
Dependent, okay,
That was one out of.
yeah. I mean, if they're coming from the state or they're coming from the city, they're shocked.
This person was someone from the university,
Uh,
Yeah,
Yes.
they're
State
probably,
insurance,
right.
yeah.
But most of the people, good or bad, that we're getting from the state are ones that have retired and have kept their insurance. And in the future, that will slow down because the state is not offering that kind of stuff anymore.
You guys think?
They figured out that that's not beneficial for them, or they're going to.
You want to make a change, or you want to leave it the same?
I'm leaning more towards leaving it the same, but if we're gonna make a change, I don't want it to be like a wholesale change. I think we need to take baby steps. I don't know if it's gonna help that much. I know we've had people turn it down, but how much would it have had to have been to get them to take the job? If the insurance was there, would they have turned it down for some other reason, or was that the only underlying reason?
And I really don't know how it is in the hospital world, if they supply that to the
They-
employees and the families or not.
no, it's,
They have to pay.
I think so. I think Cap Region's sort of like the city, they have to pay, but if they do the wellness stuff, they get discounts.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
they
say
pay-
they
they
get
pay-
discounts.
they still pay quite a bit.
For family and stuff like that, too.
Mhm.
Like I said, if you make a change, I don't think we should bite off a huge percentage. I think if you want to make a change, let's go from 20 to 40.
Yeah.
25 or-
Okay, I'll give you.
I'd rather give raises than to fix the
Well,
health
I-
insurance personally.
That's kind of way I look, but see, I'm kind of like Larry, I don't have any kids. I'm not, families with children and this,
What I've also.
it could be a great benefit.
Well, so I would
Uh,
also say that if you have a family on the county's health insurance, so spouse and children, it's pretty devastating to pay that amount of money.
Yeah,
I mean, I would say for just your spouse or just your children is doable, but I would say that to come on and say you have to cover your entire family, it's a blow. I mean, it's a significant amount of money, because right now it's what?
on the-
$452 every 2 weeks. I mean, that's a significant amount of money for someone.
But also, there are potential
That's a
for
reason
more
not to get
claims.
married or have
There are potential claims there, too.
Yes, I mean, yes.
Multiple claims. I mean, I have
Trying to
researched,
behave today.
there are some employers that everybody pays $250 a month. And then you can put on however many people you want. But everybody pays. Doesn't matter how many you got on it. Everybody's gonna pay the $250 out of their own pocket.
I think to do something like that, I think you're almost gonna have to make the employees pay.
Oh, yes, they would pay.
And, you know, rather than us, you know, absorbing it. So, you know, that's gonna hit them in a paycheck. So I don't know.
But I can see the difference. You have a person that walks in that's single and a person that walks in with a family, and you offer them the job. The difference in pay is significant.
Mhm.
Well, that's the problem, so we want these 22, 23, 24-year-olds with 12 years of experience.
Well, of what? Experience of what?
And no kids or family, so.
Yeah, I have
I-
friend desk staff people that are making $28,000 a year, they have to pay for their family's insurance.
It's, yeah.
Basically working for free.
Right, or working for insurance, you
Mhm.
know?
Right.
And unfortunately, some do.
And that was the first thing that I did before I started procreating, was I sat down to see if I could afford a family. And I'm just kidding.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah, we all
That
believe
one
you,
kinda went
Jeff.
over some heads, didn't it?
Hey, over mine, I was just shocked in silence.
You were shocked at the 4-syllable word.
Okay.
Okay, stew over that one for a little bit. We'll come back. But
It's just
yes,
like, it's kinda like deer season, you know, I mean, probably the reason you got married was because of like deer season.
I'm just making one last comment. I don't know what you're all proposing for merit or COLA this year.
I don't know either. That's why we're talking about these things.
Well, but I mean, that's the thing, that's one of the things to me that I would rather see everybody, the majority of the county employees, all get a merit or COLA or whatever, than lose that for a benefit to
Just the ones who have.
a small portion of county employees.
Okay.
No, that's kind of what I think too, but
And I think
I don't think we disagree with that in general, but we're just trying to help the ones that have the families, because that is a big price to
I understand.
choke down, so I'm along the same lines too.
But if you pay them more, you pay everybody more, then they can afford it more.
And
But
we
if we
do.
take away from your
we
raise
do
and give it to them, it's a
ask
lot
them
better
to
for
check it
them.
out. Can you handle this?
I mean, but
Mhm.
you gotta keep in mind too, that, you know, even if you do a 2 or 3 or, you know, 4% raise on an average salary of $35,000, I mean, you know, 2% on 35,000 is $700 for the year. I mean, you don't even notice that in your check.
Well, then you all need to give bigger raises. Now that
So
you've come to that
10%?
realization.
You
Or,
know?
like, sometimes at the state, you know, if you made under a certain amount, it was a flat dollar amount instead of
Right.
percentage, because then it helps.
But then that
It
tightens,
compresses the.
yeah, that compresses your range there.
I get it.
Okay. Let's.
Have we made any decisions at all?
Not
No,
really.
no.
Not really.
Educator.
Well, we're trying to get through all of them and then come back and pick the
Um,
low-hanging fruits maybe.
just beware. We still have EMS to go.
So
Well, we're gonna be done by the time the Cardinals play.
Maybe.
No,
Yeah.
So
Meeting at 10.
yeah.
back to employee
Yeah, I got one in
requests.
Fulton.
So the maintenance department, they have asked for a deputy director.
No, you had that in there, and I didn't realize we took it out last year.
We did. We turned that into just a regular position because he was having a hard time finding a deputy director. So we added a position.
where, where,
You had a full-time position in there that didn't go away. That was in there for the deputy director that you filled with a full-timer at the health department.
yeah, because we had to, with that big a building, I couldn't have a part-timer. So we took the part-time, made it full-time.
Yeah, and, I mean, I remembered that, but I don't remember taking away the deputy director, because I've been campaigning for that one for
Yeah,
a long time, and pretty much been on your case about,
I think it was
Getting
last year in the
somebody
budget.
so.
I'm sorry.
I think it was last year in the budget.
Yeah, that's what Debbie said too, and because Greg said we took it out, I was like, what? So,
I've actually
you don't
had a
have to add
couple
it in
different
right now,
people
but
show
I'm
some
probably
interest.
gonna push more to have that one than anything.
It's in
Okay.
But it's
Yeah.
not in Christian's budget.
There's no
So-
additional people in my budget at the
She's-
moment.
yeah,
Right now,
she's-
it's all,
I think she wants to find out if she puts it in, if we're just gonna say no from the get-go, so.
well, and I wanna know if you have certain ones that are priorities. If that one's a priority, I wanna try to make it fit. If none of them are like, oh, we have to have it, we wanna take care of everyone we currently have first and then see what we have left over, I wanna know that as well. Cause there are other departments that don't report to you that have asked for additional people as well.
Right.
We told Greg to find somebody and then,
And it may not be adding an employee, it's gonna be adding a deputy
supervisor, basically.
Mhm.
Somebody to help me
maintenance
out there.
director,
yeah.
so.
So you're
Change
saying
it
it
up.
would be a promotion instead of
So-
an additional
so
person?
Possibly
No.
going from a maintenance 3 to a, possibly, we may not add another person, so, I mean, that's an option, instead of a full employee. Cause I think you need to have a deputy, you need to have a number 2, cause if for whatever reason the aliens come and take you away,
Zombies.
then the zombies, there you go, the zombies get you.
The zombies get you.
You don't even have a number 2 man. So we need to have a number 2 man. So that's probably more what I'm talking about is having a number 2. And the position, I agree, we gotta first see where we're at with it, so,
So you're adding a position or you're promoting someone?
yes.
I think you're gonna be adding,
That's
the
clear as
position.
mud.
I think you're gonna be adding the position.
But we can't just say we're gonna have a position if we don't have the money to do it, or we have other ones that are more of a priority, so.
So another request in his department was an increase to his current salaries for his people. I don't know that I agree with the number he submitted, but I think that,
Put in there.
we could talk about an adjustment for those employees to get them up where possibly a maintenance worker at Road and Bridge is.
You got state paying over $15, you got the city paying over $15 to start. You got hotels in town that are paying maintenance people over $16, $17 to start. You got Quaker that's paying almost $18. You got Walmart paying over $11 for just an employee. $12.50 to start for my guys is very low, with any knowledge.
I'm not gonna be able to disagree with that at all. I would,
I don't think I disagree with that,
Think
but
that we
I think
need
you
to-
have to look at how it affects everyone else in the process as well. I mean, if you jump your people to 1650, that's making more than a deputy in any department, or, I mean, it makes them out of whack with the rest of the scale.
I'd have to look to scale again on that one.
I think another one that needs to be looked at is the youth specialist at juvenile. He did not ask this year. I asked him because I know that he's been having some problems keeping people. They're probably one of the lowest paid on the scale. They start at $24,500, which is probably close to $11 an hour.
24.5, $12.
$11.77 an hour. So, I mean, I think they're another one that we possibly need to look at increasing.
I'm just trying to find the salary.
Hey, Brian,
Sir.
can you come here and leave your phone sitting there so you don't get steps?
Oh. Larry's been ringing him up. That's okay, because he's on IT.
Okay, so I'm gonna open up somebody's that asked me that, so.
Yeah, he did.
Okay. I just didn't wanna set, I've just been canceling because I don't wanna. Okay, thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
And you're welcome for the extra steps.
I don't know. I mean, my suggestion would be is try to fix it the best way you know how, within budget, and then let's talk about it at some other point. I mean, obviously, I mean, I don't disagree with Greg, I don't disagree with Jeff. I mean, our starting pay for some of these positions is way too low. I mean, you're not gonna fill them. So, but, you know, you start them at a higher rate, you know, now you gotta start bumping other people up.
Right.
And so I don't have a solution for any of that, but, I mean, all you can do is try to, you know, maybe fix it incrementally.
Okay.
But at the same time, you know, if you can't hire people, you know, I mean, you got vacant positions just sitting there, so, because you can't fill a position.
Okay, another significant salary adjustments was in pretrial release. They asked for about $44,000. That included an additional part-time person, but that's bumping their other people up as well. I don't,
Do you have, do you have any details on
I
that?
do, somewhere.
Did they sent that letter to
Did
these
she
guys?
send it to you? Here we go. So it would be taking, one from 51,000 to 60,000. The two at 40,520 to 45,000. Taking one of their part-time people, I don't know what that would be change for her, cause hers is hourly and this is in here as total dollar. And then adding an administrative assistant part-timer. Can you scroll to?
I know, but it shows their names.
Yeah, Richard had talked
Information.
to us a little bit, but
So. Down one more. Here.
I mean, obviously, that program is growing. I'd like to say it's growing well, but it's, I mean, it's just creating a bigger issue to be able to monitor all those people. I mean, 118 people, I mean, I think when we started, we were having 20 or 30. Now we have 118 people on pretrial. Obviously, we've gotten everybody to buy in, but you know, we're able to backfill all those spots in the jail with federal prisoners, and so, I mean, obviously, we funded all this and saved us a lot of money, but somebody's getting a lot of funds on the other end that we need reimbursement for pretrial at a minimum. I mean, because without 118 people not in jail, if you put all them back in there, we'd be paying $45 a day to Greene County and everywhere else, because we wouldn't have a place to put them. And everybody else is plumb full.
So if they get sentenced, will we get reimbursed anything for having them on, and for whatever reason, go to the?
Well, so not necessarily. I mean, so while they're on pretrial, as long as they're meeting the conditions of pretrial, they may never get sentenced to DOC, and so.
No,
that-
but I'm saying if they do 1 day in DOC, we're supposed to get reimbursed if they've been sitting in a jail for a year. Or if they sit on pretrial for a year and we expend funds to do it, which is gonna be far less than having them in jail,
Right,
then do we get reimbursed anything for that?
probably
I
not.
don't think so.
But it saved us $20 a day basically, cause we get reimbursed around $22 a day and it costs us $40-some a day to house them,
Right, yeah.
so.
I mean, so, you know, our cost for pretrial is minimal. You know, I'd say it's probably a couple dollars a day per, you know, person.
Yeah, I was thinking it was a little over 3, but.
It depends on whether they're on an
it's-
ankle bracelet
yeah.
or not. I mean, if they're on
Yeah.
an ankle bracelet, it's a little higher, but if they're not on an ankle bracelet, and they just have to report in.
Problem is, you've got somebody that has to monitor all that 24 hours a day, too.
I will say that their salaries were not really looked at last year because their positions were new enough that we brought them in at the salaries they requested, so we didn't make any adjustments to their salaries.
Right now, I'd say we're probably leading the state in pretrial release, just for the meetings we've gone to. I think we're way ahead of everybody.
So is their salaries under the deputy marshal?
Yes, it's under that
Salaries in
budget.
our salary schedule?
Yeah, they're in 155.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, I would say there's a huge reason why we're leading the state, and it's because the people that we got running that program. I mean, we got Gary Kempker, who's worked for corrections and PD and was a sheriff, and, you know, I mean, you got people that have been deputies and worked at the Department of Social Services. I mean, you got people that know the system. I mean, so, you know, it's not easy for anybody to understand everything that goes into all that, much less being able to score somebody or who to release, who not to release. But when you have people that have a ton of experience, that's why we're having success. You know, they know how to talk to people and then, you know, just have a conversation and who's dangerous and who's not, who can we release, who can we not. And, but I mean, saving $45 a day is just, I mean, that's why we did it. I mean, it wasn't about, you know, getting people out of jail, but at some point, you know, we were full.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were full,
Yeah.
and we were housing them in Greene County, we were housing them everywhere else, and that's why we were in the red.
And it's to stop the cycle,
Mhm.
to hopefully keep these people working
Right.
and keep them a part of the community, other than they lose their job and then they can't get out.
Well, and so, it goes even further. I mean, they're re-engaging people that miss court. They're not just issuing a subpoena to get them arrested and get them thrown back in jail. They get a hold of them, they set a new court date, and so, you know, it's not just this vicious cycle of, hey, you missed your court date, throw you back in jail and do it all over again. It's texting them and letting them know, hey, you got a court date today, and trying to keep them working and keep them productive in society, and, you know, and a lot of, I mean, it's working. I mean, there's always gonna be some people that, you know, keep reoffending, and those people, you know, you keep trying to help, and hopefully they figure it out at some point, but some people never do.
My biggest concern with this one is the growing cost of the program in general fund when there's not revenue in general fund to offset it.
Right.
I mean, they bring in about $11,000 or $12,000 from some of the clients that are in a court program otherwise that are paying for some of their costs, but really there's no revenue in general fund that's offsetting the cost of this program. So to keep increasing the cost of the program is hurting general fund because there's no revenue coming in to offset it.
I agree.
Did he email us that sheet that you had up there a minute ago?
That
Actually, I
letter,
put it on your desk.
yeah, there was a little
was a paper.
binder,
Yeah.
You can get to it on budget though, on your budget, on F drive. And all of these, anybody that submitted anything.
I mean, so, I've said this many times, I mean, there's a direct correlation from pretrial services to the amount of inmates in our jail from federal prisoners that we're making 70 some odd dollars a day, generating $1.5 million in revenue. So,
Thank you.
you put those 118 back
I'll
into
try.
jail, and that 1.5 in revenue goes
Says
away.
access denied.
I mean, it becomes zero. So, I mean, people argue with me, and, I mean, if you don't have the program and you don't spend $300,000 a year on pretrial, you don't gain 1.5 million in revenue. It's pretty simple.
No, I think it's good.
So
I-
let's circle back around to all the salary stuff at the end, and you guys can maybe kind of put them in priority order. But let's talk about EMS and some of their requests. So I think a big one is 911 percentages. So right now, we pay 25% of the 911 costs from the city. We are currently splitting that 50-50 between EMS sales tax and the law enforcement fund, since they're the ones that use that 911 the most. EMS has requested that their percentage go down or go away, one or the other. I guess I'm looking for some guidance from you guys on your thoughts on that. If you want to do 75-25, if you, how you want to set that up. Thoughts?
Well, we got the bill from the city, and it's $389,000.
So there's about a
For
$6,000
2020.
increase over the year in their costs for next year.
So it's like $32,000 a month that they're gonna bill us.
And that's within that contract, it says
Access to
4% increase.
Yeah.
Unless you wanna renegotiate that contract, it's probably too late though.
Which one are we on? I'm sorry.
We're
We're
talking
on
about
911.
911
We've been splitting it 50-50 between the sheriff and
EMS.
sales tax. So EMS has requested it to be reduced or paid for fully by the sheriff.
I do know, go to the sheriff's budget. I think he did increase on his side, some, cause he said that he would be willing to pay a larger share of it. I have not dug into that one on his side yet.
How many calls do they get compared to each other? We've talked about this before.
I have
thought there
not,
was some reason we never did change the way we build it.
So,
We always went 50-50 for some.
so here's the big difference. So Jeff Central dispatches the sheriff to 2 calls. They just transfer the call to us and we dispatch our own at EMS.
Right, but how many EMS calls do we get versus law enforcement calls? I mean, they've gotta have
I haven't.
a count, so I would think we could kind of split it up, whether they're dispatching our deputies or just forwarding the call to us. And I see there's more work in dispatching them than there is just forwarding a phone call, but maybe that'd be one way to look at it.
so the sheriff did try to include 75% of the cost out of the law enforcement fund.
Did he say if that's based on, they get 75% of the calls? Well, we can sit there and say, well, yeah, their calls should weigh more because they are doing the dispatching.
I think it depends on what happens with the call. So, like I call in and I need an ambulance, they take my information and then they transfer the call to EMS to handle the call from there. The sheriff's department, I think they're handling the call all the way through.
Yeah, they have one dispatcher down there that does the county sheriff. So John is saying he would pay 75% of it?
He did include 75% in his budget.
Well, the way to do it then would be,
And if he's
tell
willing to
that,
do it-
tell EMS it's 25%, which cuts in half what they've been paying.
Tell Matty owes John a piece of pie.
And really, it comes out of the sales tax portion, not out of his enterprise portion.
The EMS.
Yes.
Yes.
The EMS
It
part.
comes, yes, it comes out of EMS sales tax, not out of their operating.
Yes.
Oh, well, no pie for John.
Well,
No, if he would still be taking 75% of it.
it's attaboy.
So you guys tell me,
That low
I would just,
Use my phone while I'm dancing.
I would
How do you
just,
even get
if John is saying he'll pay 75%, I'd put 75% on the sheriff and 25% on EMS, and that's,
You know, so, just to talk about your comment, I mean, so John's just submitting a budget. I mean, it's not John's money to pay or not pay.
Right.
It's just his recommendation, and so.
Right.
Anyway, I mean,
Well, then we could come up with a formula ourselves and.
Right.
If it ends up being 70% or 80%, then we.
No.
but I mean, so,
I have
Is that what you're saying?
no, I mean, I'm just trying to, get
I'm just
everybody on the
looking-
same page here, but, the difference between the sheriff and EMS is that we have all these consoles, we have all this equipment, we have all this software, we have a ton of stuff that we have in our dispatch center that we have to have in order to dispatch our ambulances. John doesn't have any of that. I mean, that's all down at Jeff Central, and John gets dispatched by them. So, if you're, when they call Jeff Central and they say, I need an ambulance, and they take all the information, that information doesn't just transfer to us. I mean, we get that same call, and we have to take all the information again. So,
Would that be different if we were on the same software or
it could be.
something? I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
think
Is there,
There is something that they, and I don't know if it's on 911's end or on EMS dispatch, but when the call is transferred, the address and where that call is located transfers right away, so you don't have to ask them where you're at. And it's, 8 more seconds or 20 seconds or whatever it is, and the situation kind of makes a difference, so.
Yeah, an automatic, ALD or AVL or whatever, the automatic, that locates our ambulance and dispatches the closest ambulance, and so
I think it just says here.
even have a,
Here's 25% of it.
auto locate for
Alright,
where the
so-
call's coming from, so that you could dispatch to that location, or, so.
All right, well, I was just looking at it a simple way and just figuring out how many calls they get and trying to see if there's a number we can come up with there. If it's close to 75%, then that'd be fine with the way John budgeted it.
Yeah, I mean,
If
I
it's
think,
not.
he needs to pay at least 75%,
mhm.
if not all of it.
So how many more do we gotta go through before we come back there and start axing?
Well, so where are you guys at with this one? You wanna look at more information? You want,
I'd say to submit it at 75%, paid by the law enforcement fund.
Yeah.
so another big one in EMS is when we talked about their salary scale, we talked about it being in effect as of January 1 every year. So you would move to the next step, it would be a recommended step, and it would take place at the same time as everyone else's salary increases. Matt has proposed that it move to anniversary date. So they would get their step increase on their anniversary date and not on January the 1st. I can tell you, I am opposed to that plan.
Debbie is too.
Very much.
We have some issues with getting pay forms to begin with. I don't need to have to change everyone's salary during the middle of the year. No other department gets a step increase on their anniversary date. It's all on January 1st, no matter when you start with the county. Your guys' thoughts?
Nobody else has step increases
No.
automatically in
Yeah.
theirs either, so this
Yeah.
one is a little different.
That
We don't
entails,
necessarily have a raise until January 1st when we find out if we're gonna have raises. These we have built in, so they're a little different.
well, they're technically not built in until you say.
Right, they don't necessarily get the step unless we
Right,
Would
because
give
it
it-
has to be budgeted for. and-
Right. So currently, there's no steps in there.
I think we need to just keep it calendar year.
I like
If you-
the anniversary date personally, and it makes more sense, cause if you start in February, you start in October, there's a lot of difference there.
But
It's
it's
no
the
different
same
than what
different,
we've done
yeah,
for
it's the
everybody
same
else.
thing with everyone else.
We don't have everybody else on steps.
They start at all times of the year.
I'm pretty sure everyone would like to be on steps.
Yes, and these kind of steps.
Yeah, no kidding.
And as far as getting the paperwork to you, if they don't have the paperwork in here, then they don't get the step raise, so
Well,
that's easy enough.
that's not the employee's fault. That isn't
So-
how I look at it.
So if we do it for them, we're gonna end up doing it for,
Well,
One would assume.
yeah.
so his proposal is this year, if you have already met your step during the year this year, you would get an increase on January 1st, and you would get an additional increase on your anniversary date during the year next year. So some people could move 2 steps in 2020.
No, you wouldn't get the step on January 1st. You'd get it on your anniversary. And if you wanna do that with the employees, then so instead of doing the raise on January 1st, they have to wait till their anniversary date this coming year.
But he's
So
gonna
you
tell,
can do that the same way.
he's gonna tell you though that they've already met their step during the year this year. So if your anniversary date,
No,
so,
cause I was arguing with them too on it.
so if you
Yes, I
started
said-
in October,
I said, it's so much easier, January 1st, just be done with it. And so.
budgeting wise, yes,
we-
it's
we
a
emailed
ton
back and
easier.
forth, and so by the time we get done with our discussion, I agreed with him. So,
Stop
we
that.
can, so, well, we can talk about that one, we'll bring him up here and we'll,
What makes them better than all the other county employees that they get step increases?
they're not better than everybody.
Hmm.
Larry.
Well, then why do they get step increases?
That's the way they set up their salary schedule. And we could've set the counties up that way too, the rest of the counties. This is more of a recruiting tool than anything.
Do they have vacancies?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems to me like from where we were at with EMS a few years ago to where we're at now, they're all considerably better paid than they were at that time to resolve that issue. And then you're gonna give them a step increase every year. And there's been years when county employees didn't get raises at all, didn't even get a COLA. I mean, we are all county employees, so. That kinda burns my ass.
I think Larry's speaking for a group of us that kind of feel that way.
Well, I had a couple nurses that were like nurse 3, so we hired, and they left, and we hired in as nurse 2s because they didn't have the experience yet, but I built in that step to bring them back up to nurse 3s for this next year, because once they, like, the CDS, once she learns the epi piece, she deserves to be paid as a 3, because it's a very complicated job to do so I think there's certain job classifications that should be on a step, or if not everybody, because they all learn more, they become more valuable as they're in the position longer.
The problem budgeting wise with steps is that you're guaranteeing these increases when you don't know what the budget's going to be. I mean, we would love to give everyone a step every year. We would love to give them a 3% COLA and a 2% merit. That would be wonderful. We don't always have the funds to do that. And the restrictions with doing steps is you're building that in there, and at this point, I have to do the step. So what do we cut out of their budget to make sure that that step happens? And
have to
then
treat
on-
everybody fair.
And then on top of it, this year, there's some people that the proposal of going to anniversary dates, I have to build in 2 steps instead of 1.
Well, part of it though, there was a cap on top of it too, so. And you load it up a little bit to get them here for the first few years, and then it tapers off. And then once you have them for like 7 years, the theory was that you're gonna keep them at that point. So that was part of it too. We can get, let's get Matt in here when we talk about it, and everybody's got a chap to ask me in here too and listen to it, cause we went through a lot of stuff with this, we went through a lot of stuff with EMS, and I understand where y'all are coming from. And, I mean, probably be a bad idea to try to work something like that, countywide. And it is dependent upon the money being in there each year, so. Then we can talk about the January 1st thing and anniversary day thing too, all at the same time.
So why would you have to, I mean, if you did it on anniversary date, why would you have to build 2 steps in there?
This first year, so like if you started in October
Uh-huh.
and your anniversary date was October of 19, you
Right.
should have moved a step this year and you didn't. So you're gonna move that step in January.
I see.
And then you're also gonna meet your anniversary date in October, so you're gonna do another step in October.
I see.
And that works throughout the year. So anybody that started in the middle of the year and met their anniversary date, they would get their step in January, and then they would have built in a step during the year.
But I
It
don't
would
think
be a
we would
one-
do the step in January.
I wouldn't, I don't think you would
start
do
October, you
both.
don't get the step until October, you don't get a step automatically in January.
But if I started in October of 18,
Mhm.
and that's when you did the salary increases, I'm at the starting. I should have moved to a 1 in October of 19, but I didn't. Then I should move to a 2 in October of 20. So are you not giving them anything until they get to the 2, so then they go from the starting to the 2? Because if
So-
you don't give that January one, they skip over 1 and they go from a starting to a 2.
So they started in October of 18,
When we did the salary stuff.
so then they went from October to
So if
January.
they started in October, okay, so we didn't give raises to them because we adjusted their pay,
Right.
right?
So the
Adjusted their pay.
understanding was originally they got theirs in October, they didn't get anything at January of 19,
Right?
and then they would go their next step in January of 20.
So January, they're gonna get the one they should've got October 19th of
Yes.
this year.
Well,
Which they didn't, because we did on anniversary day, or on, January 1 instead of anniversary day.
And they knew that at the time when they came up with these steps, that was the situation and that we were staying
I
on
think
an
Matt
annual
was
basis.
going with the understanding as the anniversary date, so.
We
No,
talked about
no,
it when
no.
you were in here.
It's that right there, and it was on it was not on the anniversary
It was a
date.
January recommended step,
Yep,
was what we talked about. That it was not automatic, it would have to be recommended, and it would be on January, same
Every
time as
year.
I
everybody
think
else.
it's gonna be a lot cleaner if we can just do it on January, in January. It's gonna be,
and
So-
even if you do it on January, then you do it for them, then how do you do it for the rest of the county employees?
So who gets the step? I mean, everybody that's employed?
Right.
Do they get a cost of living raise after the step?
Well, so if you start December of this year, and you come in at starting, you get a raise.
Well, what we did in the budget for last year, for everybody else, it's no different than any other county employees. You
Right.
had to be here 6 months in order to be entitled to it in January. He could do the same. It's no different. 6 months, 3 months, whatever he wants to come up
So you
with.
just
Or he
pick
could
an
make,
arbitrary date.
or he could make an argument that they're highly qualified and he wants to start them at 49.5.
Well, that'd be nice if it worked for everybody else the same, just
Right.
saying.
Now, everything's not equal across the board, not for any department, any elected head. So, I mean, there's people, we've got a lot of chapdashes around here for a lot of different things, so this isn't the only thing.
A lot of chapstick.
I'm just saying.
Okay, so you went at, you,
Well, I'm not disagreeing, I can argue both sides of
I'm
it,
just
but we only
pointing
have
out
until
the-
4 o'clock today when the car
Okay.
comes on.
Can you
Squirrel.
give me some chapstick about this big?
Seems to always be the same
With a
ones,
4-foot
though.
stick of chapstick.
do you want to set up another meeting with Matt to talk about this?
I
Is
think
that-
we definitely need to, cause I think we need to have almost a full trial. And,
Oh, my.
well, it's gonna take a lot of arguing, cause you can go a whole bunch of different ways with it, and whenever we started this out, it was with good intentions, and so, I mean, I think our EMS has really turned some corners and stuff, and we're getting some quality people working there, so I just don't want to go backwards.
I don't disagree with you, but here's the issue I see as coming to a lot of the commission meetings to try to stay informed on what's going on in the county. And Matt waits to the end of every meeting, typically to come in and talk to you all about something after everybody's already gone. And I see the commission, they come in and ask for something and you give it to them. It's never questioned. Then I see like the time when Michael Cote came in, wanted to replace his van, and it was gonna be like $15,000 or $19,000, and it took you all 45 minutes to decide on that. And it was a no-brainer in my opinion. But if EMS had come in and asked for that, you'd have told them, yes, get 2 of them.
You can go ask Matt how many times I've told him no, I've told him no a lot, so.
I don't
We
get
had-
that, I'm telling you what I see in public meetings.
We had a bunch of stuff that was on there.
At the end of the day.
When we're weak. All right, we gotta start putting him on at like 7 AM while we're fresh.
No, it
He
just
needs to be
seems
on the
fishy that they
agenda.
always hang around outside until the end of the meeting, and then all the regular business is gone, Jeff Alderman's gone, and they come in and talk to you all. It's supposed to be a public meeting and a public body.
We've never voted on anything after
I
everybody was gone.
didn't say you
unless we-
have, I'm not questioning
So-
your authority in any of this, because that's what you all got elected to do.
But anything we've ever done that, sends us information, and he calls us each 3 individually a lot of times to talk about stuff beforehand. So, I mean, the stuff afterwards, a lot of times we're joking around talking about baseball.
Hello.
So, a lot of things that he got approved last year when he brought it up, there were a ton of things on there. And we went back and forth on which ones, how many, all or none. And we voted to do what was on that list. So that was pretty much last year's list that we've been working on. And bottom line is, if he ran out of money, he runs out of money. And there was stuff at the bottom of the list that moved up and vice versa, so it's just. there's some
Okay,
things
it's
that
almost
to
10
the top.
o'clock. What else we got? Kristen?
We got all day, Sam.
Contract.
So Matt brought up an associate medical director. That, if something happens to Dr. Ludi, he wants to have someone else that's kind of familiar with the service to be there in case of that. Or to prepare for if Dr. Ludi would retire or something, that they have someone that's familiar with the service that can step in. Is that something you guys want to do?
Is that a
not
contract
do?
service or employee?
Dr. Ludi's is a contract.
I think we pay Dr. Ludi's insurance, and what are we giving him? We give him $1,000 a month.
He was talking about possibly $2,400 annually to an associate medical director.
And I think it's somebody that maybe could do both Christie's and Matt's. I mean, you're under medical director too, aren't you? Somebody
Yeah, if you
maybe
could combine the
combine.
two, especially if we get nurse practitioner.
I'm open to looking at it. I'm not saying yes or no, but we definitely have to have a medical director. So if Dr. Ludi were to retire or whatever.
Paramedic school. He has in the budget to send, I think, 3 people to paramedic school.
Let me know when we do that other agreement, I guess.
Yeah. You guys have that.
Oh, yeah, we gotta do that.
I'm open to the idea, but I haven't made a decision either way.
Okay.
See how much money we got.
It's kind of on my radar, but it's probably the first thing to come out if I need to look for money to do other things in his budget.
What's that?
Paramedic school.
Okay.
We don't do education for anyone else. That's kind of my thoughts, but tell me if you think differently. He wants a line called either community relations or health education programs, to do, classes out in the public.
How much?
$10,000.
I mean, I think more discussion. I mean, I'd leave it out for now. But it's just me.
Yeah, I'm not,
Jeff?
I'm not saying totally no, but
I
I'd leave it
don't know, I
out.
thought we were gonna fly through them and come back and revisit them and kind of see where we're at with stuff. I mean, I'd leave them all out for right now and then start seeing what we have room to plug back in.
So then the other is kind of his capital. Do you guys want to do your other agreement first? We haven't done capital in either place, so that's the end of the list besides capital.
That'd be a good breaking point. Sorry.
A little warning would be nice.
I'll just rip the tape.
You guys good?
okay. Okay,
You got that?
yeah.
What is this?
That contract for courthouse site improvements.
Oh, we got, oh,
Yeah.
if they wanna do that real quick, okay.
Yeah. I'll make a motion.
He's got it, Jill got it?
She's bringing it, yep.
Yeah, pretty quick, but I think our capital's gonna be pretty much taken care of.
It's all done, yeah, they still need to fill out the bonding and insurance things, but Pat's gonna send that to me when they get it, 'cause they didn't have time.
Right.
So we just need a motion to sign the construction contract with
Yeah.
GBH
Yeah.
Builders for the courthouse site improvements, project number 1904. That was my motion.
That's your
Right.
motion, I second. All in favor? Aye.
Abstain.
Okay. Motion passed.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
this is,
You know, I don't know, did we-
Yeah.
So we were done with kind of the question mark ones, so we can stew around on these.
Yeah, so capital is what's left on the list of things to talk about.
How much you got there?
Well, I-
We'll have EMS capital and
Yeah, I
then
had
sales
some
tax
changes
capital.
that Pat sent to me yesterday.
So that's gonna be more than a 10-minute discussion too. Let's schedule another meeting,
Sam has to.
because Sam's gotta get going.
yeah,
So do you want to
Oh, it's good out
be
there.
done now or go over one of them?
Yeah, I don't know, get that.
Doesn't bother me.
As long as Sam's here or whatever, I don't care.
I'll stay till about quarter after and then I get as much done as we can, although.
Well, so one question that I would like some guidance on is number of ambulances you want to replace next year. Cause it's a big dollar amount. He's requested 3.
That, are you gonna refill that?
Are you thinking 3? Are you thinking 2? Are you thinking none? I thought we kind of talked about that the 2 we bought after the tornado were his 2 for 2020.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we, seem like we're dropping
Or separate
transmissions and everything else right left, so I would leave at least 3 in there. Doesn't mean we have to buy 3, but leave 3 in there for now.
I would be more inclined for just two, but.
I don't know, it's going back and forth on them. I'd like to keep us on that schedule of two, but we've just had so many problems with the diesels. I'm trying to look at the email with his budget requests on that side.
Have we gotten the two back yet from,
I don't
that
know
were
if
still under warranty?
My only concern with buying so many here in a short time frame is that we're eventually going to get to the point where they time out at the same time. So,
4 this year.
right, so 4 this year and 3 next year is 7 of our fleet that we've replaced. So I think it would be a huge hit to get to the point where we have 7 that come and need to be replaced within the same short amount of time. So just, that's my biggest concern.
Well, we talked about that, and so obviously, people that were running that before, didn't stagger the trucks that were busy versus the trucks that were not. And so, obviously, you know, when you running trucks the same amount of miles and you're not looking at that and you're not trying to stagger that, that becomes a problem. And that's, anyway, we've got 4 or 5 trucks right now that have 170,000 miles on them. I mean, they're all about the same mileage, so, and they're different year trucks, so they didn't really think about what they were doing and move trucks and let some just let the miles run up and then replace them. They run them all to the same mileage, and now we're into the point where all of them need, you know, are having major issues or they need to be replaced. And so obviously we have to do a better job of tracking.
Yeah, their vehicle cycle replacement, there was no such thing. And we've got, like you said, we got.
So we got 14, so if you did 2 a year,
I think
it'd
we're back
be,
to
it'd be about
increase,
7 years.
It's from me,
Cause we've got
from
additional
me this morning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
things that we're having to cover too. Cause we talked about keeping some of those as backups, but.
Well, you have
can't.
to.
There should be one that's capital.
Well, but so, I mean, so you can say 2 a year, but if you were to do 2 next year, I mean, you got 2 that already got 170,000 miles on them, I mean, those things are gonna be shot before the end of the
Is
year.
that it? That one? No, this one. You're
I
on
mean,
the-
because it's not really the miles, it's the hours. I mean, they're sitting and they're idling a lot. Hopefully with some of the newer ones and their plugins and stuff, they're idling less, but they still sit and idle a lot.
We've got 7 of them with over 130,000 miles on them. So. I don't know yet, 2.5.
You're not helping me any.
I know,
Uh,
but that hadn't really got to sit here and argue about it a whole lot
So,
yet either.
pull
We
up
just saw the
BSNA for
requests.
650. Close that.
What were the other ones?
So
I know those are the big ones, so.
right now, we have about 2.9 in the 650 fund for ambulances and capital improvements and contingency. Cause the rest of those costs, and I gotta put the 25% of 911, cause we were waiting to see there, but, I mean, the transfer fund in there is pretty fixed. We've been doing the first responders, the capital lease is fixed, tax increment financing we have to pay. So we have spent down the cash forward a little over $1 million, 1.1 so far. And he pretty much has encumbered everything that's left in there, so he could spend more if you move money, but he has pretty much encumbered everything that was in capital improvements. So the 2.9 is pretty much the total you have to play with in there. And that's with No contingency, no 911 costs at the moment.
2.9 will be the carry forward.
No, 2.1 is the carry forward. 2.9 is what you have in expenses to balance that budget out. But again, you have to get 25% of the 911 costs. You need to leave some sort of contingency in there. That's none at the moment.
So we need to reduce the 3 million of the capital request, what you're saying?
Right, so I kind of started with ambulances because it should be a little bit easier to decide if you want 2 or 3 or none. And then you can back into the capital improvements and contingency amount. But beware, once you spend this down, I mean, you have about 700,000-800,000 in their budget, because you're spending down that 2.1 that's coming in cash forward.
Over this year and potentially next year. Well, the 2.1
So-
will be next year, yep.
So if you took that 2.1 out and we spend it all in 2020, you pretty much have 2 ambulances to buy and very little capital
Going forward.
going forward.
Matt has assured us that his expenses will, what he's gonna be buying in 2020 is gonna be less.
Well, so right now the list is 3 million in
I
capital
know.
and 695 in ambulances.
I'm just one, but I would do 2
So 3 million in
ambulances.
capital and how much in ambulances?
695 would be 3.
700,000.
So what's he got for 3 million in capital?
84.
So CPR, mannequins and simulation, radios, which some of those we did purchase this year, so that number could go down.
Well, that number should be taken out.
Well, we spent 162,000 last week.
I think it's another Tahoe and a pickup, or it's 2 Tahoes and a pickup. Pull up that other email, it has
Can
them
you get
listed
that?
out.
Tahoe and a pickup. Oh, well.
Yeah, go to his email list, it's easier to see. So 1 Tahoe, 1 pickup,
Oh, sorry.
their equipment, like sirens, Sierra Wireless, all of that, because they would be additional vehicles.
Where's the radio?
Radios, the Lucas device and laryngoscope we bought already, so that 20,000 could go away.
Where's the mannequin?
The mannequins, stop the bleed kits, turnout gear, extra vests, and a bulk of that is construction.
What?
Construction, he has 1.5 for a new station, and then 700,000 for an additional station. And then there's some IT stuff that wasn't included on the original list. And then the dispatch console.
First watch.
First watch is already encumbered in there, it's just carried forward.
Well, of all those things, the Tahoe comes out, the pickup comes out, the
Mhm.
stations come out. In my opinion, the ambulances stay in. And then it's just where I'm at. And that reduces a bunch right there,
Yep.
so. And then a lot of those things, the radios should come out.
I think he bought half.
No, that's
That's
No,
not my
it's
understanding.
all
That's
of them?
all of them, so. radio
So the
should-
237 was,
Yep, should
Really
be,
only 160?
yep, should be gone.
I think there was other stuff.
The laryngoscope and.
the Lucas
that
device
Lucas
we buy.
device should be out.
Yep.
Um,
So some of that radio stuff stays in there. I think that alerting system and speakers and the dispatch radios for vehicles, I don't think,
Yeah,
I think what they bought was
some of
just
that may come in
portables.
there. I mean, obviously, the dispatch stuff will have to stay in.
And I don't know, incident command, medication, temperature control, I'm not sure if that's for the vehicles or if that's something else. Have to
That's
ask.
probably that's those command boxes probably that are going in the Tahoes, and they're climate controlled, so.
Anybody else?
Yeah, well, pickup in Tahoe, I'm not, and stations, yeah, we need stations, but that's, there's a chance that with the tornado area that HUD would pay for a station in the tornado area, so say down around on Dunklin and Lafayette or somewhere like that. Could maybe get one built.
So if we take those out, are you okay with 3 ambulances?
I still gotta think about it, I know the 2 that we got, after the tornado, we had to get those, so.
Jeff?
Still juggling some stuff around. I mean, his bottom line comes down to how he wants to work the vehicle replacement cycle and get that plan together. I mean, that's what we're looking at too, but if this is gonna give that plan a lot more teeth, he's also gotta remember that he's only got so much to work with. So when he runs out, then he can't come back saying, well, I have to have this radio replaced and let's use the radio, because we were talking about, they're supposed to all be new too. So, I mean, we're just gonna put an amount in there, right?
Right, I think the ambulance amount, I kinda need to know 2 or 3, and then, like I said, we can work backwards into what we wanna spend in capital and what we don't.
Well, I'd like to have it, I mean, just like everybody else, I'd like to have an amount in mind, but I'd like to list the projects that we wanna get done.
Right.
And prioritize them, so that Matt kinda knows what we want done, and so does Greg, and everybody else is dealing with capital stuff, I mean.
Well, so I guess in the past, we've kind of done that with capital, but we don't usually spend it all. In Matt's circumstance, we've spent it all, so I think you need to be a little more cautious about what you put in there, cause
And that's why we go through the budget process, is we need to, you got, say, $1 million, and we wanna do this, 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 and this, and then you got this much for ambulances.
So I think really what I'm looking for is 2 or 3. If you're wanting to leave 3 in there with,
If we do 3, I would definitely say we're gonna do 2 at the beginning of the year. That third one's gonna be okay if other capital items have not come up, because there's something about public safety that you never have a problem spending your capital down. It's just a matter of which one's priority.
So just keep in mind that, regardless of who you buy them from, I mean, if you say 2 and you approve the budget in December, you're not gonna get those for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah,
Right.
So, I mean, even if you order 2 in January, you're not getting them until August or October, so.
We can even order all of them at the end of the year too.
Right.
Whether we buy 2 right away or make the plan, we look at the schedule, how we wanna do it. But we had to replace some cycle set on 2 every 5 years when we only had 10 ambulances. But we got more schools with football, more stuff we're having to cover.
and we're gonna have more too.
Well, we tried
tried several different things. We tried buying 2 a year, we tried doing remounts, we tried lots of things to try to reduce that cost. And now we're taking DEF systems off the ambulance to try to get rid of those problems. Now we've got complete fuel systems that have been messed up, that have cost us 10 grand to repair. We've had transmissions go out, I mean, so, yeah, it's just, I guess it's just the nature of the beast, so.
So right now from you two, I'm hearing placehold for 3.
Let's put 3 in there for now. I'm looking at his list of, which ones are priority 1A, 1Bs, 2s. I'd like to hear why some of them are 2, some are 3, and so on. It's got some notes in here under the justification stuff, but
Are you done?
I think, so let's go back through just a few that don't have to do with salaries. Increasing attorney's fees. Are you leaning towards a yes or a no, or possibly 45?
Yeah, I'm probably somewhere in the middle.
yeah, as I say, somewhere in the middle is
Okay.
where I'm leaning. We need to put them on some kind of a cycle too, almost to.
Parks
instead of having to
reimbursement.
Make it all at one time.
Do you wanna talk about that more? Are you good with going 18 to 20? Like I said, that one's not significant, I just know that we've talked about it multiple times in the past, so if there's more information that we're wanting during the budget, I need to get Road and Bridge working on it. If you're good with just going 18 to 20 and being done,
That reimbursement, whether it's 18 or 20, it's reimbursement coming from GR
into Road and
into
Bridge.
Parks,
No,
into Road and Bridge.
into Road and Bridge.
From Parks to Road.
So-
Parks is part of GR.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll leave it 18 for now, and something we can look at later.
Okay, just be aware if you want
Yeah.
more information on that one, we probably need to give them some guidance as to what you wanna see.
Well, because I mean, the other side of that is, they need to replace the mower, and where's that money gonna come from? So,
Capital.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Jeff, were you good with leaving 50,000 in wellness? Chris was a yes, yes.
Yeah.
You both were good with moving an employee from Road and Bridge to planning. So back to dependent health insurance.
So let's talk about Road and Bridge to planning. Is planning under GR?
Yes,
And so Road and Bridge is kind of reduce an employee,
yes,
so they'll just be down an employee there.
Planning's
Yes.
staying the same, but they're gonna take on some of the,
Right, but I mean, so.
No, they're
Road and
actually-
Bridge will be short a position.
so they had
Right.
4 office people,
Mhm.
and due to a retirement, they're down to 3. They're gonna keep it at 3, but one of them is going to do parks and planning, which is in general. So we're gonna move that employee to planning. So yes, Road and Bridge would go down 1 employee.
And planning's not increasing an employee.
No, it would be, yes,
Okay,
yes,
clarifying that.
yes. Cause that's the one that retired,
Right.
yes.
The health insurance.
Health insurance.
Dependent.
That one's a big one, like I said, you gotta give me a heads up if you're thinking about changing that, because it's gonna take some planning on our end as far as getting the numbers in the budget.
And I'll be coming to you either next week or the week after for the renewal for 2020. So it's gonna be a big push to get it out to the employees for open enrollment. So I need to know to change everything that way. We can go somewhere in the middle again, we're at 20. If you don't wanna go to 30, or 50, we can go to, I can figure out what, 35, 30, 40, whatever you wanna try. and see how many jump on, see how many doesn't, see if it helps recruitment. But yes, you are benefiting some employees other than others. That's their option, whether they want to take coverage for not, for family members. Again, do we have a whole lot? No. Most people's spouse either works for the state or the city, which it's still cheaper there than it ever would be here.
And I still think you do some kind of thing that says if you're offered health insurance through your employer or your spouse, they're not allowed to jump on ours just because it's cheaper.
Yes. Because I think that's where employers got trouble. They got people on it that don't need to be on.
I'd like to see it at 50.
I'd like to see it stay the same in the budget, and then when we get to the end, we look at it like we do salaries.
Well, so I think for open enrollment, we're gonna have to know.
Yeah, I can't wait.
So if you're gonna give them that option, you're gonna have to tell them before open enrollment.
And I'd sure
Which
like.
is when?
I'd sure like to tell before the end of October, because the state enrollment is the month of October. So, they need to know whether they wanna move or not move.
If we're gonna make some steps, I'd like to do baby steps on it, and I don't know if we have to meet every week up until the time you need to know, then we can sit here and crunch numbers, or else.
It's October 9th now, so we don't have much time.
No, I'm talking next week if I get an answer.
I'm fine with that, we can meet every day if we have to, until we get it settled and figured out.
We haven't gotten to that capital.
Contrary to what Sam says, we can move faster on here.
You don't even have the new cost yet?
No. It's going to remain, the indications that I'm getting, going to remain close to the same. Admin costs may be going up a little bit, but I'm not going to recommend that we change.
We're still self-insured, right?
Yes, partially, yes.
So I'd say leave it as is. I mean, if you can't get a consensus, then you just gotta leave it at 20%.
Okay.
And then, like I said, if you want to have another meeting next week, and if there's anything that changes, I don't know, I just said we'd take a look at it. A couple of people mentioned that they had lost some employees, or potential employees, and that the family plan was what decided it, but I'd rather take care of the employees. Even if we just get them a raise, they can apply it towards our family plan.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, that's fine, I know there'll be 2 more people leaving at EMS because of it, so, anyway.
But we made quite a few salary adjustments over there too, to try to entice them to work for us. So, they got more money to help pay for their family plan if they wanna do that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's true. Of course, there's people like Mercy out there that are giving $10,000 incentives for people to come, and they cover the full cost of their health insurance, so, anyway. So, I mean, it's a competitive market, and there's a shortage of paramedics and other people too, so, it's just a great place to work, but at the end of the day, people are gonna go where they can make more money and have less out of pocket.
And if it's the family part, then you could increase that percentage. Is it the right thing to do? Most of them go from anywhere from 16 to 21%. There's a little bit percentage difference on every, the PPO versus the HSA.
Right.
There's a different percentage. If you want to do that just on the family, and you don't think we're out of line on the spouse or the children, just kind of odd that we would cover more for one versus another.
Right.
I'd like to get to the point where they're all exactly the same percent. I don't know how we got to this mess, but we are.
I think because one year we decided to leave the amount the same,
Yeah.
so that it changed slightly, but we left the amount.
And the
the same.
HSA is actually cheaper for us so that's why that percent is less.
Mhm.
I mean, we can have another meeting and talk about it. I mean,
Well, so you're gonna bring insurance hopefully next week?
Hopefully next week.
So I guess think about it this week, and if you decide when we do health insurance, if you want to change something,
That'd probably be a good time to do it. I mean, we could, if we're on the
So
fence.
that
I don't
That'll-
have an answer.
pick which
That'll
side
at
to
least
fall
give
off
you
on.
a week to think about it. So the only thing we didn't get to today is, capital improvements in our capital improvement portion. I do know Brian is here, if you wanna talk to him, he is proposing replacement of the phone system.
Brian, everybody get a cell phone?
Oh my gosh.
And it can cost just a little bit more than an ambulance.
So, I don't think we have an option with the phone system, we're gonna have to do something with it. Estimate is 350,000.
That's everybody across the board,
I don't know, is
Is
that juvenile and everybody, yes?
public works.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cause right now,
Currently not on.
they're not on.
Right, they're not on it, but
Yes.
they did send me their information and stuff
Okay.
like that, so that's part of that number. Yeah, that's a rough number, but it's probably pretty close.
Rough high number or
Shoot.
Well,
not to exceed?
Watch what you say, Brian.
so like, I haven't thrown out, so we haven't went through the whole bid process and everything. So I basically asked, give me a ballpark from our current vendor of, looking at light systems and things like that. Obviously with, newer technology and things like that, and the number that was thrown out was 350.
Is there gonna be more than one vendor that can bid this?
There could be.
We need to try to make sure that there's multiple vendors.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying,
Alright. I mean, I'm good with the phone, so it's gotta be done.
Okay, so the only thing we didn't get to is Greg's list of capital stuff, so if you guys wanted to schedule another time or give me some idea of what you're thinking or not thinking.
We haven't spent
See you,
much out
bud.
of that this year, have we?
Yeah, so we probably for sure need to mark some priorities of things we want to
Right.
do next year.
Yep, no, I agree.
Cause we had, I think, 1.5 in there this year and we've not spent much of it, so we need to have some priorities and tackle those priorities, take off some bites from the list of things that we wanna do.
We've recently put some POs out there.
Right,
for- As
yes.
of today too.
Yes.
For big contracts.
Yeah, I'd like to
But we wanna
mark some
get,
bigger projects that we can get done.
well, we wanna get to the end of that 5-year sales tax period and be fairly close to spending
Right.
what we had in our priority list, so we wanna make sure that we're
What do you
biting
think?
off some of those projects and
What do you
completing
think
them.
will carry forward this year after that contract that we just signed, and then what do we usually have for next year?
I probably cannot tell you that number at the moment.
We'd have about 900,000 a year or something.
Something like that.
Our new sales tax?
Our revenue coming in is about 900,000 a year, yes.
Capital.
Yes,
right?
for our side of the capital,
Right,
yes.
just rough numbers, and we've spent maybe $500,000 this year.
So,
You wanna go cash?
you can go in the budget and just, I don't have any hard numbers in there yet, cause I'm meeting with Eric to do their side later this week, so I was holding off on that one, but
Yeah, do you want me to just go into our side?
yeah, so pick 804.
Can you see it?
yeah.
What do you want me to look at?
Well,
What tells us where we're at right now, besides having to.
So my estimate there, I would say we're still have about a 1.5 carry forward, if not a little more than that, cause that capital improvement number does not include any of the landscaping stuff and things like that we just signed, so,
So you think we'll have a 1.5 carry forward and then 900,000, and we'll need to try to spend a good chunk of that next year?
Yeah, I would say you need to at least tell me what the priorities are that we want to get encumbered and bid next year. Whether you actually spend it next year or not, is probably not the priority, but getting that list and picking what those priorities are and getting them bid and in the process is probably a good idea, because this sales tax is a win, it's a,
It starts at 21, doesn't it?
yeah.
Or,
The new one?
yeah. Or is it,
Mhm.
maybe
Why are you
22?
catching me off
I think
guard
it's
here?
22, I think
17,
we have to
18,
renew it in
19.
21 to start
Yeah,
22.
17 or 8, 17 is
renewal
campaign.
in 21.
So we got,
So we'll have 2 years of money to spend, really. But the point is, we just need to get a lot of it spent, or.
Well, we just at least need to
get some
figure out
projects
what those
identified.
things are and in what order we want to do them.
we got the
So,
electrical and plumbing in the courthouse that at some point, we either need to start rat-holing some money for it, cause that's gonna be a big one.
that's gonna be a big one, and I don't think we're gonna have the cash on hand to do
Right.
it without some help.
Financing.
But, yeah,
Well, that's,
and
I'd
I
still
would,
like to put
I would
some in
pref-
there and
I would
start-
prefer not to borrow money until we're done paying off the jail.
It's 2017 to 2021. You know, in those categories that we said.
But it also, if we can
Ah,
pay cash for a portion of it,
Yeah, but you got Adams Street, you got other things in there too that probably we're not even thinking about yet. So,
Now, we probably do have a little bit of money that you could spend capital out of general. So this year our, stock insurance, it fluctuates from year to year. We budgeted about $1 million, it came in at 1.6, so we
Right.
picked up about $600,000 in there that we were not expecting, cause last year was 983. So we probably have a little bit of capital that we could spend out of general as well. Spend down some of those reserves. Like I said, we're probably close to 8. Our reserve policy says we're gonna hold 6, so we could spend some of that down.
yeah, it ends 2021.
I think it depends on what you wanna do with Adams Street as well.
sure.
So I really think we need to think about what some of those goals are and try to do the things we wanna do in the right order as well.
Right.
You know, do we want to finish Adams and get people over there and then work on retrofitting somewhere else, or what order do we wanna take those steps and what things do we wanna knock off the list?
Sure. I have to go, I got another meeting. So,
So I don't know if you wanna schedule a time to talk about just capital, if you want me to plug a number for now and we talk about it during the budget, I don't care. But that's one I probably need some guidance as to what you're thinking and what projects you wanna try to tackle so that I
think plug a
can.
number for now, but we do need to have a discussion on that too. And I'd like to have a discussion sooner than later on Adams Street, kinda what we anticipate, how soon we're wanting to do something with it too. And if we sell the old health building, we'll have a little chunk of change too to help.
yeah.
And then, I was visiting with Brian and Melissa yesterday, and before we put that furniture in, it would make sense to change that floor. So we're working on trying to get some prices on that.
Already did.
Where'd that come in at?
To do Melissa's office and Brian's is right around 5.
Their offices and the common area?
No, Brian just said that those 2 offices at first.
No, cause I got other furniture coming out there in the common area too, from what I understand, so that.
Double it.
So, no, I said 7,500 to 10 grand. So. But I didn't know if we got money in there to do that this year, or if, we don't have the furniture ordered.
I think you have the money and capital to do that this year if that's something you want to
Okay,
do.
well, I'll let them know that once we get the specific, do we, I don't know if we're gonna go out to bid with
I
that?
think they had to bid a piece of the furniture.
Right, unless it's cooperative.
I don't
We
think
can
we
buy
did.
Or if,
flooring, we can buy off Mohawk, which is a cooperative through the state, which is through Scruggs. Now, as far as what it costs to put it down,
Well, there's a couple ways they can do that. They can go right over the top of that VCT tile. If they
Right.
do that, they don't have to clean it up, and that's why I wanted somebody like Scruggs to come and look at it and tell
I'm
us.
leaving, we can
Motion.
just stand in
That's
recess.
I'm staying in recess. Go ahead.
I'm ready to stand in recess till 4:30.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
What time is it, so we can tell Lynn?
10:40 is what my computer says. Well, I just wanted to make sure if we're gonna do this, that we can get Brian and Melissa to go get us numbers, get everything going. Make sure Sam and Chris are on board with it. We got the money to do it before
That's the case.
we go through all the
That was,
exercises, so.
I'm not sure.
But when we looked at it yesterday, Greg, where they got them computer stands and stuff, so we don't have to pull them up or anything, is,
We're just gonna go around it.
yeah. And just stop at a full tile.
Yeah.
But I'm not so sure you couldn't put that floating stuff. I'm not sure the stuff at Health, that was glued down or was that floating?
Blue down.
Cause they got some different stuff now, that floating stuff's pretty nice.
Yeah.
And it's
down there.
fairly
Moisture,
inexpensive.
I'd rather do the glue down. Come in, they just put a disc on there, sand it and glue it.
So Jeff, do you wanna talk about capital?
You wanna do a work session for it?
Next
or-
week, or,
Yeah, sometime.
I mean, we're gonna have to, I'd probably say
That's,
so.
stonework. We're still running over there.
Do you want it on the regular agenda on Tuesday, or you want standalone?
I'll get one.
Trying to think, well, I gotta go on Tuesday, cause if we do that Tuesday, we'll probably take a break and then come back and talk about it. Oh, jeez. Check with Sam and Chris, if they just wanna do it, you know, do it.
Like at 1 o'clock or 1:30 Tuesday? Take a
Yeah,
break
do it.
out there.
Do a
Later,
one-
earlier, cause,
Well, they have their regular agenda.
yeah, I know, I mean, 1 o'clock, as long as we can't, cause I've got, Tuesdays, Thursdays, I take my mom to
I wrote on 10:40.
physical therapy, and that's usually either 3 or.
I mean, you don't have to
Or
necessarily.
who made the
be here
motion?
for that.
I need you to sign this too.
I made a motion to stay in recess, Chris second,
Okay.
or vice versa. Chris made a motion, I seconded it.
Lynn, I gotta get a PO on this